Ethan Marino heard the lilting Italian before he saw who was speaking it. His mother's language spoken with a Florentine accent that made his chest tight with unexpected emotion. He looked up from his menu to find their waitress, a young woman with dark eyes and an uncertain smile, conversing with his mother like they were old friends in a Sicilian village. No one ever spoke Italian to his mother. Not anymore. The restaurant was called Nona's, tucked into a corner of Boston's North End where the tourists rarely wandered. It was the kind of place that served real Italian food, not the American version with too much cheese and garlic bread, and Ethan brought his mother here every Friday night without fail. It was their tradition started when his father died 10 years ago, and his mother had looked at him with hollow eyes and said she couldn't remember the last time someone had taken her to dinner. Ethan had made sure she never forgot again. Tonight Teresa Marino sat across from him in a navy dress she'd owned for 20 years, her silver hair twisted into the same elegant bun she'd worn since he was a child. She was beautiful in that timeless way some Italian women had. All sharp cheekbones and expressive hands and eyes that held entire conversations without words. She was studying the menu even though she always ordered the same thing. And Ethan was about to tease her about it when their waitress appeared. "Booner," the young woman said, her voice soft but clear. Ethan's head snapped up. His mother's menu lowered slowly, her eyes wide with something that looked like disbelief. The waitress stood beside their table with a notepad in hand, looking nervous but professional. She was petite, maybe 5'5" in the flats she wore, with dark brown hair pulled back in a neat bun, and hazel eyes that had a slight exotic tilt to them. She wore the standard uniform, black pants, white button-down, black apron, nothing special. But when she'd spoken Italian, her whole face had transformed, becoming animated and warm. "Tu parli italiano," Grace breathed, switching immediately from English. "Si, signora." The waitress smiled, and it was genuine. "My mother is from Florence. I grew up speaking it at home." "Florence?" Grace's hands flew to her chest. "I have cousin in Florence. The city is beautiful." "No, the most beautiful," the waitress agreed. "I want to work there someday. I'm studying to be a chef, and there's so much to learn from Italian cuisine." Ethan watched this exchange with a feeling he couldn't quite name. His mother was leaning forward now, her entire body language different than it had been 30 seconds ago. She looked alive, engaged, happy. "A chef." Grace clapped her hands together. "This is wonderful. What you study?" "Everything, but I love traditional Italian the most." The waitress's enthusiasm was infectious. "Regional dishes, the ones that have been passed down through families. That's what I want to preserve and share." "Brava, brava!" Grace was beaming. "You know my grandmother in Sicily. She make the most incredible arancini. I try to make here but is not the same." "The rice," the she gestured helplessly. "Something is missing." "The saffron?" the waitress suggested. "Or maybe the ratio of rice to filling. Traditional Sicilian arini are more rice-heavy than the versions we make here." Grace stared at her. "Yes, exactly this." "How you know?" "I wrote a paper on regional variations of arancini for my culinary program." The waitress looked slightly embarrassed. "I might have gotten a little obsessed with getting it right." Ethan's mother laughed, actually laughed, and the sound did something complicated to his chest. When was the last time he'd heard her laugh like that? Not the polite chuckle she gave his jokes, but real laughter, the kind that came from joy. "What is your name?" Grace asked. "Lila. Lila Hart. Lila." Grace repeated it with obvious pleasure. "Beautiful name for beautiful girl. I am Grace, and this is my son Ethan." The waitress Lila finally looked at him, and Ethan saw the exact moment she recognized who he was. Her eyes widened slightly, and she took a small step back. Fear flickered across her face, quickly suppressed behind professional courtesy. Everyone in the North End knew the Marino name. Everyone knew what it meant. "Mr. Marino," she said carefully, her Italian disappearing into accented English. "It's nice to meet you, Tommy," he corrected, keeping his voice gentle. He was used to this reaction, but somehow seeing it from her bothered him more than usual. "Just Tommy, and thank you for making my mother smile. That doesn't happen often enough." Something in Lila's expression softened. "Your mother is lovely. It's my pleasure to speak with her." "You come here often?" Grace asked, switching back to Italian. "Work here long 4 months now?" Lila replied in the same language. "I work nights and weekends while I'm in school. It helps me learn about restaurant operations, and the chef here lets me watch him work sometimes." "Smart girl." Grace nodded approvingly. "And your Italian is perto. Your mother teach you well. She insisted we speak it at home. Said I needed to know where half of me came from." Tiara smiled. "My father is American, so English was everywhere else. But at home, with Mama, always Italian." Ethan filed away every detail. Mixed heritage, which explained the unique beauty of her features. Close to her mother, ambitious, passionate about food, and so damn young, mid-20s at most, probably younger. Too young for him to be noticing the way her hands moved when she talked. Too young for him to be thinking about that smile. "We should order," he said more abruptly than he intended, "before the kitchen gets too busy." Lila's professional mask slid back into place. "Of course. What can I get for you?" Grace ordered her usual, the usobo, but not before asking Lila's opinion on 3 other dishes and getting enthusiastic recommendations. Ethan ordered without really paying attention, his mind elsewhere. When Lila left to put in their order, his mother turned to him with eyes that were suspiciously bright. "Ethan," she said quietly in Italian. "That girl, she spoke to me like I am person. Not old woman. Not someone to be patient with." "Person, Mama, you don't understand." Grace's hands were shaking slightly as she reached for her water. "I live in America 35 years. 35 years. And no one speak Italian with me except you. The other ladies at church. They are all gone now. Dead or moved back to Italy. I am alone here with this language I love. And no one want to hear it." Ethan felt something crack in his chest. "I speak Italian with you. You do, and I love you for it. But Toro, you learn Italian here. American Italian. That girl, she speak like my mother spoke, like home." Grace wiped her eyes quickly. "Is small thing I know, but is not small to me." He reached across the table and took his mother's hand. "I know, Mama. I'm sorry. I should have realized." "No, no." She squeezed his fingers. "You give me everything. This restaurant every week. Your time, your love. I'm not complaining. I am just saying that girl, she gave me gift tonight. Even if it's just for 5 minutes. She make me feel like I am home again." Ethan looked across the restaurant to where Lila was talking to the chef through the kitchen window. Her face animated and focused. She was gesturing enthusiastically about something, and the older chef was nodding, a small smile on his usually stern face. "She's special," Ethan heard himself say. "See?" Grace's eyes were knowing. "Very special." Tiara returned with their drinks and a basket of bread that hadn't been on the menu. "Chef made focaccia today," she explained, setting it down with rosemary from the garden. "I thought you might enjoy it, Senora Grace. You remember my name?" Grace looked delighted. "Of course." Lila smiled. "And I asked Chef if I could bring you a small taste of his arancini. He makes them Sicilian style, very traditional. I thought you might like to try them while you wait for your entree." She placed a small plate with 2 golden arancini in front of Grace, who looked at them like they were precious jewels. "This is too much," Grace protested weakly. "It's nothing. Chef is happy to share with someone who appreciates the traditional way." Lila glanced at Ethan. "I'll be back to check on you soon." She left before Ethan could thank her, already moving to another table with the same focused efficiency. Grace bit into one of the arancini and closed her eyes. When she opened them, they were wet with tears. "Mama." Ethan leaned forward, concerned. "Is perfect," she whispered in Italian. "Exactly like my Nonna used to make the saffron, the ratio, everything." She laughed through her tears. "I am silly, old woman, crying over rice balls." "You're not silly." Ethan's voice was rough. "And you're not old." He watched his mother savor the arancini, watched her face transform with each bite, and made a decision. He was coming back to this restaurant, and it had nothing to do with the food. The next Friday, Ethan arrived at Nonna's alone. His mother had a church function, some Saints' Day celebration that the older Italian ladies took seriously, and he told her he'd eat at home. Instead, he found himself walking into the restaurant at 7 Ciao, scanning the room for a dark-haired waitress with a shy smile. She was there taking an order at a table near the back. When she turned and saw him, surprise flickered across her face, followed quickly by something that might have been pleasure before she schooled her expression into professional neutrality. Ethan let the hostess seat him at a table in Tiara's section, ignoring the knowing look the older woman gave him. He was a regular here. Everyone knew he came with his mother on Fridays. Showing up alone on a Friday was a statement, whether he wanted it to be or not. Tiara approached his table with her notepad, looking slightly flustered. "Mr. Marino, I mean Tommy, I didn't expect to see you tonight. Is Senora Grace well?" "She's fine. Church event." He gestured to the empty chair. "Thought I'd still come. The food's too good to miss." A small smile tugged at Lila's lips. "I'm glad you think so. Can I get you something to drink?" "Red wine. Whatever you recommend." Her eyebrows rose slightly. "You want my recommendation? You're studying to be a chef. I figure you know what pairs well with the menu." The smile grew. "The Chianti Classico. It's not the most expensive, but it's the best match for chef's cooking style. He uses a lot of tomato and garlic, and the Chianti cuts through it perfectly. Then that's what I'll have." She wrote it down, then hesitated. "Your mother spoke about you all week at church. She told everyone about the waitress who speaks Italian. I think half the congregation wants to come meet me now." Ethan felt warmth spread through his chest. "She liked you. I liked her too. She reminds me of my Nonna in Florence. Same warmth, same hands that can't stay still when she talks." "How often do you see your Nonna?" Tiara's expression dimmed slightly. "Not as often as I'd like. We try to visit every few years, but plane tickets are expensive and school is." She trailed off, probably realizing she was sharing too much with a customer. "I'm sorry. You don't need to hear about that. Let me get your wine." "Wait." Ethan's voice stopped her. "I want to hear about it. When's the last time you went to Italy?" She bit her lip, considering whether to answer. Finally, she said, 3 years ago. Right before I started culinary school, my parents took me as a graduation present. We spent 2 weeks traveling. Florence, Rome, Venice, Sicily." Her eyes went distant with memory. "I ate at every restaurant I could afford and some I couldn't. Took notes on everything. It's when I knew for sure that this was what I wanted to do with my life. And now I'm saving up. I want to do a stage, an internship at a Michelin restaurant after I graduate next year. It's competitive and most of them don't pay, so I need enough money to support myself for at least 6 months while I work there." She smiled self-consciously. "That's the dream anyway." Ethan looked at her, really looked at her, and saw the determination beneath the shy exterior. This wasn't a girl playing at being a chef. This was someone with a plan, willing to work 2 jobs and save every penny to make her dream real. "That's a good dream," he said quietly, "and you'll make it happen. I can tell." Her cheeks flushed pink. "Thank you. I'll get your wine now." She hurried away and Ethan watched her go, aware that something had shifted. He'd come here tonight, telling himself it was curiosity, that he just wanted to see if she was as genuine as she'd seemed. But watching her talk about her dreams with that quiet passion in her voice, he knew he was in trouble. Over the next month, Ethan became a regular at Nona's. Not just Fridays with his mother, though those continued, and Grace was delighted by how much time Lila spent at their table discussing recipes and regional variations. But Tuesdays and Thursdays, too. Always in Lila's section, always ordering whatever she recommended. He learned that she spoke 5 languages and was working on a 6th, that she studied in the mornings, worked at the restaurant at night, and spent her Sundays at a brunch place in Cambridge to make extra money, that her parents lived in a small house in Medford, and her father worked construction while her mother taught Italian at a community college, that she had a younger brother in high school who wanted to be a lawyer. He learned that she was 23, 9 years younger than him, which should have mattered more than it did, that she'd never had a serious boyfriend because she was too focused on school, that she got nervous around him but tried to hide it behind professionalism. He learned that when she talked about food, her whole face lit up, and her shyness disappeared completely, that she had strong opinions about the proper way to make carbonara and would fight anyone who suggested adding cream, that she dreamed of opening her own restaurant someday, something small and intimate where she could serve food that told stories. And he learned that she was noticing him, too. He'd catch her looking at him when she thought he wasn't paying attention. She'd blush when their hands accidentally touched as she sat down his plate. She'd linger at his table a little longer than necessary, asking about his day, sharing stories about difficult customers or something funny chef had said. It was the head of his security who finally called him on it. "Boss," Ryan Carter said one Tuesday evening as they sat in Ethan's office above the restaurant supply business that fronted his real operations. "We need to talk about the girl." Ethan didn't pretend not to know who he meant. "What about her? You've been to that restaurant 9 times in the last month, always requesting her section, always leaving tips that are bigger than the meal. People are noticing. So you're making yourself predictable, and you're making her visible. If anyone wanted to get to you, she'd be an easy target." Ethan's jaw tightened. He'd thought about that. Of course, he'd thought about that. But the idea of staying away from Lila felt impossible now. No one's going to touch her. "You sure about that? Because word is spreading that Tommy Marino has a type now. Young pretty waitress who doesn't know what she's getting into." Ryan Carter's voice was careful but firm. "I'm not saying don't see her. I'm saying be smart about it. Either make it official, bring her into your world properly with protection, or walk away before someone uses her to hurt you." Ethan stared at his second in command, hating that he was right. "She doesn't know what I really do. She knows the name, knows the reputation, but she doesn't know details. She's not stupid, boss. She's figured out enough. The question is, does she want to know more, or is she going to run the second this gets real?" That was the question, wasn't it? Tommaso had been careful to keep things light, friendly, nothing that crossed the line from customer to something more. But the truth was, he wanted more. He wanted to take her to dinner somewhere that wasn't Nona's. He wanted to hear about her dreams without a notepad in her hand. He wanted to see if that spark he felt was mutual, or if he was a fool imagining things that weren't there. "I'll figure it out," Ethan said finally. Ryan Carter nodded and left, and Ethan sat in his office thinking about a girl with hazel eyes who spoke 5 languages and dreamed of Michelin stars. The next Friday, he brought his mother to dinner as usual. But this time, he had a plan. Lila greeted them with her now familiar warmth, immediately launching into Italian with Grace about a recipe she'd tried that week. His mother was glowing, and Ethan made a mental note to find a way to keep Lila in their lives. Even if his own interest in her went nowhere, his mother needed this. Needed someone who made her feel connected to home. When Lila came to take their order, Ethan said, "Actually, I have a question for you." She looked at him, notepad ready. Of course. My mother's birthday is next month. I want to throw her a dinner party at my house. Something special, authentic Italian, but I don't trust caterers to get it right. He paused. Would you be willing to cook for us? I'll pay you, obviously. Whatever your rate is, plus expenses. Lila's eyes went wide. You want me to cook for your mother's birthday? If you're interested, I know it's a lot to ask. No, I'd love to. The enthusiasm burst out of her before she could contain it. Then she blushed. I mean, yes, I'd be honored. How many people? 10, maybe 12. Close family and friends. What kind of menu were you thinking? Grace cut in before Ethan could answer. Traditional Sicilian. The food of my childhood. The things I can't find here or make right because something is always missing. Lila's face took on that focused expression Ethan had come to recognize. Her chef brain kicking in. I'd need to do research, talk to you about specific dishes, get details about how your family made them, and I'd want to do a test run, make sure I can execute everything properly before the actual event. Whatever you need, Ethan said. Name your price. She bit her lip clearly, trying to figure out what to charge. Can I think about it and get back to you? I need to calculate ingredient costs and time. Take your time. But Lila, he waited until she met his eyes. I'm not hiring you because I feel sorry for you or because I want cheap labor. I'm hiring you because I've watched you work, and I know you'll treat this like it matters, because my mother matters. Okay. Her throat bobbed as she swallowed. Okay. Yes, thank you. After she left to put in their order, Grace turned to him with a knowing smile. You like her, Mama? Don't mama me. I see how you look at her like your father looked at me when we first met. Her eyes went soft with memory. He see me at market in Palermo, and he tell his friend that is woman I'm going to marry. His friend laugh at him say he is crazy. He don't even know my name. But your father, he know sometimes you just know. Ethan felt heat creep up his neck. It's not like that. She's young. She has dreams. I'm not going to mess that up for her. Who say you mess it up? Maybe you help her dreams come true. Maybe she help yours. Grace reached across the table and patted his hand. You are a good man, Tommaso. You deserve to be happy. And that girl, she see you. Not the name, not the business. You. I see how she look at you too. She's scared of me. She is nervous around you is different. She is nervous because she like you and don't know what to do about it. Grace smiled. Trust your mama. I know these things. 2 weeks later, Lila came to Ethan's house in Beacon Hill to plan the menu with Grace. Ethan had deliberately stayed away for the first hour, giving them space to talk. But curiosity got the better of him, and he found himself walking into the kitchen to find the two women surrounded by cookbooks, handwritten recipes, and pages of notes. They were speaking rapid Italian, gesturing wildly, occasionally breaking into laughter. They looked up when he entered, and Lila's cheeks went pink. She was dressed casually today, jeans and a simple green sweater that made her eyes look more gold than brown. Her hair was down for once, falling in waves past her shoulders, and Ethan had to remind himself to breathe normally. We're making progress, Grace announced happily. Lila, she understand exactly what I mean about the flavors. She know the difference between northern and southern cooking, between Sicilian and Calabrian, between my village and the next village over. Tiara laughed. Your mother has very specific memories. It's actually helping me a lot. Most people say, make it taste like home, but can't describe what that means. She's giving me exact details, the way her grandmother toasted the breadcrumbs, the type of tomatoes her aunt used, even the time of year certain dishes were made. Because food is about more than taste, Grace said firmly. Is about memory, about love, about who we are and where we come from. Exactly. Lila's enthusiasm was infectious. That's what I want to capture. Not just good Italian food, but your Italian food. The food of your memories. Ethan leaned against the door frame watching them work. There was something profound about seeing his mother so animated, so alive. And Lila. She wasn't treating this like a job. She was treating it like a sacred trust. "How's it going?" he asked. "Do you need anything?" "Your kitchen is amazing," Lila said, looking around with obvious appreciation. "Professional-grade stove, double oven, huge workspace. If I had this at home, I'd never leave. You can use it whenever you want. For practice, for school projects, whatever." The offer came out before Ethan could think it through. Lila's eyes went wide. "I couldn't. That's too much. It's just sitting here. I barely cook. Seems like a waste not to let someone who'd actually use it properly have access." He shrugged, trying to make it casual. "Besides, you'll need to do a test run before the party anyway. Might as well do it here where you'll be cooking the actual dinner." She looked at Grace, who nodded encouragingly. "He is right. You should practice, and I am happy to be taste tester." Lila bit her lip. "Okay. Thank you. That's incredibly generous. It's practical." Tommaso corrected, even though they both knew it was more than that. "When do you want to start?" They set up a schedule. Tiara would come over the following Sunday to do her first test run. She'd make 3 of the dishes, Aranorma and Casada, and get Grace's feedback. If they needed adjustments, she'd have 2 more weeks before the actual party. When Lila left that afternoon, clutching her notes and promising to source the best ingredients she could find, Grace turned to Ethan with a satisfied smile. "She is perfect for you, Mama. We've been through this." "No, you listen to me." Grace's voice took on the tone that meant she wasn't backing down. "I am 57 years old. I live in America 35 years, and for 35 years I am homesick. Every day I miss Sicily, the water, the light, the language, the food. Your father, he was good man. I love him. But he bring me here, and I never go back except for visits. I tell myself it's okay. I make sacrifice for love is what women do." She paused, her eyes intense on his face. "But Ethan, I am tired. Tired of being away from home. Tired of speaking English when I want to speak Italian. Tired of eating American versions of my food. Tired of being person. No one understand anymore?" Ethan felt his chest tighten. "I didn't know you felt this way because I don't want to make you feel bad. You are good son, best son. You take care of me. You love me. You give me everything. But to sorrow, you cannot give me back Sicily. You cannot give me back my life from before." She smiled sadly. "But that girl, she gave me taste of it. And when I see you with her, I think maybe you can have what I could not have. Maybe you can have love and dreams together. Not one or the other. What are you saying?" "I am saying if that girl want to go to Italy, you should go with her. If she want to chase dreams across the world, you should let her and you should follow because Ethan—" "What good is all this?" She gestured around the expensive kitchen, the beautiful house. "If you are alone, if you have no one who really see you the way that girl see you." Ethan swallowed hard. "She doesn't see me. She doesn't even know me. She know enough and she want to know more. I see it in her eyes when she look at you. She is just scared like you are scared. But someone have to be brave first." Grace cupped his face in her hands. "Be brave, figlio mio. Take the chance. Don't let fear make you miss something beautiful." That Sunday, Lila showed up at 10 in the morning with 2 bags of groceries and a notebook full of detailed prep plans. She looked nervous but excited, dressed in jeans and a t-shirt with her hair pulled back in a ponytail. "Thank you again for letting me use your kitchen," she said as Tommaso let her in. "I promise I'll clean everything up when I'm done. Don't worry about that, just cook." He helped her carry the bags to the kitchen. "My mother will be here at 2 to taste everything. That gives you what? 4 hours. Plenty of time." She started unpacking ingredients, her movements efficient and practiced. The arnini need to cool before frying. So I'll start with those. Then the pasta. The cassata is already made. I did it yesterday so the flavors could set. Ethan watched her work for a few minutes, fascinated by the way she transformed. Gone was the shy waitress. This was a chef in her element, confident, focused, completely in control. She moved through his kitchen like she'd been cooking there for years, finding what she needed without hesitation. "Do you mind if I stay?" he asked. "I won't bother you. I just want to watch." She glanced at him, surprised. "You want to watch me cook?" "Yeah. I've never seen you in action before." "Not really." A small smile tugged at her lips. "Okay, but don't judge if I make a mess. Cooking is messy business." He grabbed a cup of coffee and settled at the kitchen island, content to observe. And it was mesmerizing. Lila worked with a rhythm and precision that spoke of countless hours of practice. She tasted constantly, adjusting seasoning with a confidence that made her look older than 23. She talked to herself in Italian, muttering about temperatures and textures, and whether the saffron was blooming properly. "You do that a lot," Ethan observed. "Switch to Italian when you're focused." She looked up, seeming to realize she'd been speaking out loud. "Oh, sorry, it's a habit. My mother always cooked in Italian, said it made the food taste better. I guess I picked it up. Don't apologize. It's nice. Reminds me of my mother in the kitchen when I was a kid." "Did she teach you to cook?" She tried. "I was a terrible student. Too impatient." He smiled at the memory. "I wanted to eat, not learn the process." That's most people, honestly. They don't understand that cooking is about the journey, not just the destination. She rolled out dough with practiced ease. Every step matters. The way you knead the dough, the temperature of the oil, how long you let something rest, it all affects the final dish. Is that why you want to do this professionally? Because you love the process. She paused, considering partly, but also because food is universal. It crosses language barriers, cultural boundaries. A perfectly cooked meal can make someone cry with nostalgia or laugh with joy. It can bring people together, create memories, tell stories. She looked at him, her eyes bright with passion. "I want to do that. I want to create experiences that people remember for the rest of their lives. Like what you're doing for my mother." Exactly like that. She went back to her dough. "Your mother cried when we were planning this. Did you know that? She was telling me about her grandmother's kitchen in Sicily, and she just started crying. She said she never thought she'd taste those flavors again. That's what I want to do, bring people home through food." Ethan felt something shift in his chest. This wasn't just ambition. This was calling, purpose, and he wanted to be part of it. Wanted to help her achieve everything she dreamed of, even if it meant she'd outgrow him. Outgrow Boston. Outgrow everything he could offer her. "You're going to be incredible," he said quietly. "Whatever restaurant is lucky enough to get you, they won't know what hit them." She flushed pink, her hands stilling on the dough. "Thank you. That means a lot." They fell into comfortable silence after that. Lila cooking and Ethan watching. At some point she started asking him to taste things. A spoonful of sauce here, a piece of perfectly fried arancini there. Each time she'd watch his face anxiously, waiting for his verdict. "It's good," he'd say, and she'd frown. "Just good. What's wrong with it? Too much salt? Not enough basil?" "It's perfect. I'm just not Italian enough to give you useful feedback." She laughed. "Fair point. That's why I need your mother." When Grace arrived at 2, the kitchen smelled like heaven. Lila had 3 dishes plated beautifully, and she stood beside them looking nervous and hopeful in equal measure. Grace took one look at the spread and pressed her hand to her heart. "Lila, this is beautiful. Wait until you taste it. That's what really matters." They sat at the dining room table and Ethan watched his mother take her first bite of the archini. She closed her eyes, and when she opened them, they were wet with tears. "Is exactly right," she whispered. "Exactly like my Nana made. How you do this? How you capture something I have not tasted in 40 years?" Lila's eyes were bright, too. "You described it so perfectly, and I researched techniques from that specific region of Sicily. I wanted to honor your memories." The pasta alla Nora earned similar praise. Perfectly cooked eggplant, rich tomato sauce, the exact ratio of ricotta salata that Grace remembered. The cassata made Grace cry again, this time with a laugh mixed in. "You are miracle worker," Grace said, reaching across the table to squeeze Lila's hand. "You give me back piece of my heart today. Peace I thought was lost forever." Tiara squeezed back, her voice thick. "It was my honor. Really, this is exactly why I want to be a chef." After Grace left with strict instructions that the party would be Perto, and she couldn't wait, Ethan helped Lila clean up. She tried to do it herself, but he waved her off. "You cooked for 4 hours. The least I can do is wash dishes." They worked side by side, and Ethan was hyper-aware of every time their arms brushed, every time she handed him a plate. The kitchen felt smaller with just the two of them, more intimate. "Your mother is wonderful," Lila said as she wiped down the counters. "You're lucky to have her." "I know. She's been through a lot. My dad's death was hard on her, and sometimes I think she's lonelier than she lets on." She mentioned that she misses Sicily, that she never really wanted to leave. "Yeah." Ethan dried a pot, choosing his words carefully. "She came here for my father. They met when he was visiting family in Palermo. She was 19, and he convinced her to marry him and move to America. I don't think she realized how permanent it would be. That must have been incredibly hard. Leaving your entire life behind at 19. It was. She never complained, but I could see it. The way she'd listen to Italian radio. The way she'd light up when she found someone who spoke the language." He set down the pot. "You give her that now. You have no idea what that means to her. To me." Lila turned to face him, her eyes soft. "I'm glad I can do that for her. She deserves to feel connected to her home." They stood there looking at each other across the kitchen, and Ethan felt the pull between them like gravity. He wanted to close the distance, wanted to see if she'd pull away or lean in. But she was young, and she had dreams, and he had no right to complicate her life with what he was. "I should go," Lila said finally, breaking the moment. "Early shift at the restaurant tomorrow. Let me drive you home. You don't have to. It's late, and it's Boston. I'm driving you." She didn't argue, and 20 minutes later Ethan pulled up in front of a small house in Medford. Lila unbuckled her seatbelt, but didn't immediately get out. "Thank you," she said. "For today, for letting me use your kitchen, for believing in me when you barely know me. I know enough." He turned to look at her. This girl who spoke 5 languages and made his mother cry with joy. "You're special, Lila. Don't let anyone tell you different." She bit her lip, and for a moment he thought she might say something important. But then she just smiled and said, "Good night, Tommy. Good night." He watched her walk into her house, waited until the lights came on inside, then drove home, thinking about hazel eyes and the way she'd said his name. Grace's birthday party was a triumph. 12 people crowded around Ethan's dining room table, eating food that transported them to Sicily. His mother cried 3 separate times, and by the end of the night, every guest was asking where he'd found this miracle chef. Lila handled it with grace, accepting compliments with genuine humility, while also standing confident in her abilities. Ethan watched her charm his mother's friends, watched her light up when someone asked about her technique, watched her carefully explain the history behind each dish. She fit. That was the terrifying part. She fit into his home, his life, his family, like she'd always been meant to be there. After the guest left and his mother had gone home with promises to call Lila the next day, Ethan found the young woman in his kitchen finishing the cleanup. "You don't have to do that," he said. "Force of habit. In restaurants, you always clean as you go." She smiled tiredly. "Besides, your mother paid me extremely well for tonight, more than I charged. The least I can do is leave your kitchen spotless. She paid you what you're worth, which is significantly more than you charged." He picked up a towel and started drying. "That was incredible, Lila. You made her so happy. She made me happy too. Seeing her face when she tasted the food, hearing her tell stories about Sicily, that's everything I want my cooking to do. Bring joy, create memories, connect people to something important." "You're going to change the world," Ethan heard himself say. "One meal at a time." She laughed softly. "That's the dream. We'll see if reality cooperates." "It will." He set down the towel and turned to face her. "I have no doubt." She looked at him, really looked at him, and something in her expression shifted. "Why are you so nice to me? And don't say it's because of your mother. This is more than that." Ethan's heart kicked against his ribs. This was it. The moment he could either be honest or let her walk away thinking he was just being kind. Because he said carefully, "I think you're remarkable. I think you're talented and driven and passionate about something that matters. I think you see the world in a way most people don't. And I think anyone who gets to be part of your life is lucky." Her breath caught. "Tommy, I'm not asking for anything," he continued. "I know you have plans. I know you're going places I can't follow. I just want you to know that you're not invisible. You're not just the waitress or the chef or the girl who speaks Italian. You're someone worth noticing." Lila took a step toward him, her eyes searching his face. "What if I want you to ask for something?" "What? You said you're not asking for anything, but what if I want you to?" Her voice